Greg Farvaloro, he had an idea for 3D, real 3D, spatial 3D display. He submitted the idea to the MIT business competition and was one of its winners, either the second place or the first place winner. I met him at that point in time. Now, here's an example in his particular case of an incredibly brilliant young guy that had started his patent work in 3D when he was 13 and started doing more patents at Yale, where he went as an undergraduate, and more at Harvard and MIT. And when I got together with him, he was eminently coachable. He was just a human sponge, and he was the type of person that when he sits in front of you and starts to explain whatever it is he was doing, the spatial 3D, that you liked him. Everybody would like him, and they'd want to get on board. What was difficult for him to understand is that no one was getting on board because two questions. We talked to probably over 60 venture capitalists over a 3.5-year window, not one of which put any money in. He never gave up during that entire time. He remained without salary for 2 years. I funded him and a few of his buddies in a very diminuous amount, a very small amount of money. I think they were living on like $15,000 a month was the total budget for the corporation, and they were building product. Building product based on what they had in there, what dream Greg had in his, because we hadn't gotten a whole lot of customer feedback, although we tried, but it's hard to get in front of a customer and talk 3D when they don't even know what you're talking about. And in his particular case, it wasn't, no VC would participate because you couldn't answer the two questions of what is the precise application that 3D is going to be used in, and how big a market is that? And oh, by the way, is it going to be a billion-dollar market, those three variants? And no, I couldn't prove that we had a billion-dollar application or a market. I couldn't prove that, by the way, in Ascend either, until we were $1 billion. So it was very, very discouraging, and that process went on, and we're 6 years into this company now. He now has a product. When we did get the product out in front of customers, they started to go gaga. People started to sign up, and people started to tell us what they could do with it, which is what I hoped would happen. And so now our petals on the sunflower are starting to emerge because customers are telling us. For example, ones we couldn't even dreamed up, geophysical exploration, oil and gas. They have enormous value proposition of $200,000 to $1 million, $200,000 to $1 million a day in drilling expenses. And they collect 3D data everywhere and have been using visualization tools for the last 20 years, but those tools have been a 2D screen with 3D software. If they felt that our equipment could save them even 1 day in drilling or not making a mistake, that would be worth enormous amounts of money. And just the rough estimates working with Chevron and Aramco, those are two customers that have already bought units, is 40,000 units. An enormous pile of units. A unit is an $80,000 device, to give you an idea the size of that opportunity. How could you have known that 6 years ago? You know, we had no way of understanding that 6 years ago. The medical world now, GE, has shown us applications for heart ablation, which is atrial fibrillation, brain surgery. Brain surgery is a whole host of them. So Johnson & Johnson and GE have done deals with the company, non-exclusive deals to work with the company to develop medical applications. So now the sun is beginning to shine. Investors are putting money in. Angel investors have put all of the money into the company to date. has been a total, including the last $6 million that was just raised a week ago, has been $10 million put into the company over six years, of which we have $6 million of that sitting in the bank since it's just a week old. The government has just given them a grant of $3 million to take their technology and to apply it to Hula video, which is projection technology. They won that as a National Institute of Science and Technology grant, bake-off against a whole host of different companies that had tried to win that grant. And so when we won it, we had 6 people in the company. So I think the government and a number of people have decided that the winner technically is Greg. Now we have the challenge of moving that out into a commercial